Hi Stampers, this is Lisa with Queen Bee Creations, and I'm here with today's Facebook Live. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I'm here today for a free online class, basically. I go live every Monday at 2:30 Mountain Time to teach you guys something new about Stampin' Up! And it's always my goal to take something that looks a little bit complicated and soften it up and make it easy for you. So I encourage you to interact, ask me questions. If you're here after the fact, please let me know by saying, replay or something to that effect. But if there's anything I can make easier for you, let me know. Today we're going to be playing with some new product out of the new January to June mini catalog. And it's formerly called the Occasions catalog. We just renamed it, but we're going to make little teddy bears. And the funny thing is they're actually, this is an alternate idea because the set we're using is actually called Sweet Ice Cream. And it comes with this really cute designer series paper and a matching punch. And some smart person out there realized that if you turned the punch just the right way, it looked like a teddy bear. And so that's what we're doing with it today. And I'm going to show you the card in a box. And I do a lot of these. And I promise you, it's not as hard as you think it is. So I'm going to let you see my desk. We're going to start out with our trimmer. And I'm going to put this paper in here. This is 8.5 by 11. Normally we would cut in half, score in half to make it a standard card base. But we're actually going to lay it in here at 5.5. This way. So rather than being 5.5 on the landscape side, we're going to go 5.5 on the portrait side. And just cut that. So that's going to give you these two pieces. And then I always have my Simply Scored handy. And I kind of leave my little tabs in for where they go for the card in a box because like I said, I do so many of them. And so the first one's going to be at 2 5/8. So it's the 2.5 and then over one little niche. Then we're going to go 5 1/4. And then this one is 7 7/8. So it's just one teeny little tick underneath the 8. And then we're going to go 10 1/2. And like I said, if you set this up on your Simply Scored and just leave the little pegs in there, you never need to think about it again. So you only figure that 1/8 of an inch out once. Okay, then I'm going to turn it and go to the 3-inch and score all the way down. Then I'm going to take this extra piece and I'm going to put it right here and I'm going to score it at the 10 1/2 and the 7 7/8. And that's part of the reason why I'm doing this on the scoring tool is because I want these measurements to be exact because they're going to go on the inside and I don't want them off by like 1/8 of an inch. That would not work well. So then I'm going to bring this back in for a second and I'm just going to line this up on 1/2 of an inch. And that's all I need. I think you can see the score lines. There we go. So basically this is our card base and I'm going to come in with some paper snips and I'm going to go on the short side. So the 3-inch is going to be the bottom, but on the short side, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to trim off this little section. So that's just going to go away. Then I'm going to come in and I'm going to cut down the score lines just to the crossing score line. Now I'm going to bring in a bone folder. Yes, this color is Blackberry Bliss. And the way I chose it is the reason I chose Stampin' Up! Because all of our designer series papers are color coordinating. And so every pack that you get is going to tell you on the pack what colors are inside. So when you're using this, you know that that's a Blackberry Bliss and this is a pool party. And, it plays through. In the little booklet I have here, this is what I call a swatch book. And these are just little samples that I make up that are really easy to use as a reference. I leave them on my desk, share them out at parties, and let people see what the papers look like in real life and how they coordinate to various things. Those can be purchased on my website as well as the paper share, which is a 6x6 of each of them. So if you just want a sampling of everything that's in our new catalog, but don't want to buy it all, you can kind of get it all by having a 6x6 of each. It's just a service that I offer to you guys. Try to save you some money and let you decide what you really, really like out of the catalog. So now that I've burnished everything on those folds, I'm going to put some tear and tape here, and I'm making sure that I'm flush along the bottom and that I'm flat. So I'm perfectly squared up when I pull this off and flatten it out. Okay, seems simple enough so far. Okay, so now I'm looking in the box and I'm finding where that little tab connected, and the tab connected over here. And so I'm going to fold down these three because I kind of like the tab in the back because it doesn't get in the way of my cross members and it gets covered up by the designer series paper and the cardstock we're going to put in the back side. So just a preference. Then I'm going to come back with that little piece that was our cross members. And this is actually going to be two of them, but I usually go ahead and put the tear and tape on first. And I'm going to put it on one side and then the other. So when you're looking at it, you want one here and one here. And then we're going to fold them up this way. So it's kind of a Z. And this is going to be two of them. So one more time, I'm going to bring back in my trimmer. I'm going to line this at 1.5 because this is actually 3 inches wide and I want half of it. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I've got one side folded over well, and I'm going to peel this off, just the one at a time. I'm going to pick up my box and I kind of hold it towards me and place this inside. And I don't know if you can tell, but I'm kind of lining it up to where it's square up here and there's the same distance from here and from there. So then I'm going to take my second piece. Now remember, this side's still loose. So I have not connected the other side. I've only done one. So I'm going to come in with another one and it's going to go the same direction. I've got the fold coming at me here. So I want this one coming at me as well. And I'm just going to line it up parallel to the other one. Everybody with me? Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of close it like this, and I'm going to peel off the tear and tape cover. And then I'm making sure that I am straight. And then I'm just going to push down. I went kind of gentle because what I want to do is fold the other way and make sure that this lays flat as well, because I want it to go both ways. Now, see, I was able to pop it off because I didn't get it really, really tight. But once I go that way and then this way, and then once it goes both directions, then I know I'm good. And there I have my cross members. To decorate it, I have some designer series paper. Like I said, I used our ice cream corner DSP. There's several different patterns you can choose from. On this one, I use the confetti. On this one, I'm going to use the stripes. Doesn't really matter. And then we're just going down by 1/4 inch again. So remember, I said that we cut this at 2, or scored it and then cut at 2 5/8. So this one is 2 3/8. And the next one's going to be 2 1/8. So we're just going down. Make sense? Then because this way was 5 1/2, this way is 5 1/4 on the DSP. And you can use either side. That's one of the best things about our designer series paper is that both sides are gorgeous. You will be able to order this paper for yourself January 5th. If you don't have one of those catalogs and you need one and you're not already working with a demonstrator, let me know and I'd be happy to mail you one. I provide all the catalogs to my customers for free. So if you've already ordered from me, one should be already in the mail. But if you're new and you're looking for someone to shop with, I'd be happy to mail you a catalog. We're down to the bottom. And here, these little pieces again, so 2 3/8 by 2 3/4. And they're going to go around the bottom. And we only need 3 since the back is a full piece. Isn't this side cute? That's made to be the ice cream cone. Like if you had a sugar cone, you could use this paper and just punch it out. Okay, so now we've done the bottom. Now you can choose if you want to. You can decorate these. You don't have to. Some people do, some people don't. But I would just do it with the same designer series paper. These ones, because they're going on the top, again, 2 3/8, and this is 2 1/4. This was actually the very first YouTube I did ever, was making a card in the box, and my volume was terrible. So to this day, I have people that watch it and go, your volume's too low. I know, I'm sorry. I hadn't figured things out yet. That was my very first ever. Hopefully things have improved since then. Okay, now I'm gonna layer on top of this one. And I'm gonna do this one at 2 1/8 by 2. Now, if you wanted to add another layer down here, you could, and it would be 2 1/8 by 2 1/2. You know, sometimes I put, you know, a glimmer paper or a foil underneath and this on top. You know, you can layer it up however you'd like, or you can leave it just plain. But I always stamp my sentiments on the Whisper White and put it on here. Now, I want to make sure that I stamp first in case there's any boo-boos. We can flip it over and use the other side. So like I said, I'm using our Sweet Ice Cream stamp set, and I loved this Happy Birthday. And obviously it's too long. And I have heard people that are braver than me that just take their scissors and they cut it in half so that they can stamp one on top of the other. I'm chicken, I don't cut my stamps. Probably could, but I don't. So I left it whole, and I can either choose to ink it up with my markers, or I can bring in an ink pad, and then I'm just going to hover over close to the edge and make sure that I don't get the bee. I'm only getting the happy. Then I'm going to clean this because I don't want any excess on the happy. I want that nice and clean. Some people will even put Scotch tape over it. Just something, making sure it's clean. Now I'm going to go do the other side, and I can do this in the same color or I can do it in a different color. For simplicity, I'm going to do it out of the same color. But you can see how I'm kind of angling it on the side so that it's not touching that Y at all. And there we go. I have a stacked Happy Birthday out of a horizontal stamp. And then of course it's got some little confetti flakes, and so we can choose to add a couple of those. I've got, let's see, Bumblebee, here's a Petal Pink, Pool Party. So you can just, you know, add your sprinkles around. And you can do them all in the same color. You can do them in different colors. It's all up to you. You could even leave the sprinkles off. Just have fun with it. And you can see on my blog, I've done this fold with any number of cards. You can make it a thank you. You can make it a wedding card. You can make it a birthday card. Sometimes I've done it where I put their age, you know, up here with some die cut letters, numbers. Just have fun with it. That's the point of the card in a box, is you get to have things pop out, and then it will fold tight for mailing. And I have a pattern for making an envelope that it fits into. And then when the recipient gets it, they can pop it open and set it on their desk for display for everyone to see. So I'm just going to pull out a couple other stamps. And I'm lining up on my grid paper. And remember, grid paper is something you can order for yourself. It kind of gets lost in the catalog, but I do highly recommend it. Keeps your desk clean, allows you to, you know, I can lay my stamp down on here, make sure that's straight, put my block straight, then I can put my paper straight, and it works great. See, that's why we stamp first and then adhere. Much better. Now I'm going to come back in again with some sprinkles, and I'm cleaning in between each color. This one over here is Bermuda Bay. So I've got Pool Party, Bumblebee, Petal Pink, and Bermuda Bay. Again, all colors off of the back of the designer series paper. Okay, does anyone have any questions about how we are so far? Has everybody got this part down? This is part of the Simply Chamois. It came in a bigger piece and I cut it down into 4 little pieces, but it's just basically our chamois. It's in our catalog. It's for cleaning photopolymer stamps. And it's just cleaned with water. And then after these get dirty, I go take them to the sink and rinse them out. There's also the option of using the Stampin' Scrub. And this is something where you have the Stampin' Mist, and then you stamp that on this side because there's little raindrops in the corner telling you this is the wet side and then this is the dry side. So I would scrub over here and then dry here. I actually prefer the Stampin' Scrub when I'm using my red rubber stamps, but these are really handy if I'm using little ones or if I'm using the Stamparatus. Those work really great for that. That's actually why they're cut into smaller pieces, because normally it comes in a big piece. And this is one of our blank cases. You can order those to put other things in, such as the Simple Chamois. This one's dried out, but all I would do is take it to the sink and rinse it out, and it would be wet, and then I can store it in here. Now, some people say that they've had it go moldy if they put it in here totally wet. Other people have said they've drilled holes in the back, maybe not a whole lot, but just a couple. Or I just leave mine out on my pad and use them when I need them. Okay, now for our bears, I'm going to use our punch. Again, you can get the 2 of them together as a bundle and save your 10%. Because I only want the bear and not the cone this time, I'm going to feed from the side with a piece that's just about the right width. And that's how I save the most cardstock. So these are going to be his head. That's in soft suede. I have some crumb cake that I'm going to put on there for his nose. A little while earlier, I punched out some hats out of some coordinating colors. And then I used a 1/2 inch circle punch, and I punched out some balls for the top. And then I pulled in another stamp set, actually a set of dies, that is also going to be in our new catalog. And it has little bow ties. This is the Suit dies. I don't remember what the name of the stamp set is. Handsomely Suited. And so this is another great set. And the dies that come to it actually make a jacket, an actual suit. And part of it is the bow ties. And I used the smaller bow tie die cut some bow ties. If you don't have the dies and you wanted to, you can cut them yourself. I just took a rectangle piece of DSP, or actually cardstock, and then I just made a wedge this way and then on the other side. So it's kind of an hourglass, but I thought since I already had the die, I'm going to go ahead and use that. But if you don't have it, don't panic. It doesn't mean you can't make it. It just means we're going to substitute something. Okay, for the hats, I'm going to go on there and I'm just going to do some sprinkles because I thought they looked a little plain by themselves. And you can always spice up your cardstock and make it look like designer series paper by stamping on it in the same color. Now, when you get your ink pads, if they're a little bit stiff, I know we talked about them when we very first got these. You want to rub a little bit of chapstick or a birthday candle in the tracks and then rub this back and forth, and it somewhat lubricates them and makes them move much smoother. So if you're wondering how I can open and close those so easily, it's because I've lubricated them. So now we can start assembling our bears. I'm going to bring in some liquid glue. And then I wanted almost all of the circle, but not quite. So there's a little bit hanging over the edge. And I'm just going to pop that off with some, paper snips. I'm going to bring in the paper snips again, like I said, and I'm just going to cut from the back side where I can see the difference in colors. And I'm just rounding around the edge. There's his little snout. Now the other part I'm actually going to do by hand, and don't freak out. Okay, I know everybody says, I can't draw. Neither can I. So we'll do this together. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw his little nose by making a little bit of an arc. So just a small arc. And then I'm going to make a V underneath it. And of course I didn't quite match up. So I'm just using my pen and making sure that it's a little V with an arc over the top. Then I'm going to go straight down from the point, and I'm going to do a little J that way and a little J this way. Simple enough. Okay, then I'm going to come in here and just highlight his ears. So just another, small line, a half circle. And then these ones, I want them to look kind of happy, so they're going to go up. And you can just leave it like that. I tried to put an eyeball in the middle of it to make him look like they were awake. They came out okay. I wasn't thrilled. I just put a small circle in the bottom of the little half moon. And then, I don't know if you noticed, but when you take a picture of somebody, there's a little bit of a reflection in the eyeball. And so I always put just a little dot. It's just the reflection in his iris. But we can leave these ones this way. We'll keep it simple. So again, a little bit of an arc up, a V underneath. Then we're going to make the J that goes both directions. An arc, a V, and the two J's. Okay, then I'm going to highlight the ears. And then I'm going to come in with his eyes. What do you think? Think you can do that? To attach the hats, I'm going to just put a little bit of glue on the back here. And then I'm just setting the hat down. And then I'm just going to do a bit of a mix and match with the balls. A little pom-pom for the top of his party hat. Now you may be wondering how I'm going to get these into the box. And the answer is acetate. And I know we have what we call window sheets, and there's acetate sheets, and there's little boxes that we sell that are made out of acetate that you could cut up. But one of the easiest things I've found is just plain old packaging. This was, I don't know, cupcakes or sandwiches. I mean, anytime I go to the store and I buy some kind of fresh baked thing out of the bakery, they come in these plastic clear clamshell things. And I always save the plastic part, anything flat. I mean, obviously I didn't save the stuff with the ridges and the rounded parts and all of that, but I always cut out the middle and use the flat part. And then I cut it up into little strips. And so I've got this little baggie here, and all this is a whole bunch of pieces I've just cut into strips. And then what I do is I take and put 2 glue dots at either end. And the reason that there's 2 is I find that it anchors better. If I put 1 on there, there was the chance that it could, pendulum back and forth. But when there's 2, it stays straighter. I don't know why, it just works. And I'm putting the glue dots on the same side of my stick. So there's 2 under here, and then there's 2 here. So this is the sticky side on the front, because I want to hide the little piece. And so it's going to go in the back like that. But I'm going to go ahead and put his bow tie on first. I can do that with another glue dot. Take a little rhinestone. I'm just going to pop that in the center. And then I'm going to stick it in here. Now I have found that I want to alternate. So I'll do one on this side, the next one on this side and the front one kind of over here, or maybe even middle. But if I alternate, you're more likely to see them depth-wise. Okay, there's our little bows. You want to be careful as you're laying them down. I've gone a little bit over the top, but you don't want to go too far, or you're going to have to allow for a larger size on your envelope, because you know it needs to hide everything. So you might want to bring the bears down a little if you want to keep it under the 5.5. But a 6x6 envelope works well if you want to go buy one of those, or like I said, you can use the envelope punch board if you have one of those and make your own. And then of course, this goes perfectly with our balloon punch. And every time I have like little scraps and they're almost too little to do anything with, I punch out balloons because I use balloons a lot. Like I said, I make a ton of these card in a box cards, and these work great. And so I can just pop through here and say, okay, well, here's some colors that match. I've actually even highlighted that one already. And what I do is I highlight them because, again, I'm looking for that little glow of light where there's the reflection off the top of the balloon. And you can do that with just an arc, or I've done here, I made a triangle, sort of a really long triangle, but just an arc. I mean, that works well. And you want to make sure they're all on the same side, because if the light's coming in from an angle, it's going to hit all the balloons at the same angle, right? It's not going to hit them separately. These on here. Okay, so again, the two glue dots are on the front, and I'm going to alternate it from the other side. So since I've got the bear going this way, I'm going to have the balloons go that way. And I think for the one in the front, I'm going to just put a glue dot at the bottom and then set that in there like that. So isn't that cute? Now in the back, you can choose to stamp that, or, you know, whatever you'd like. I use a piece that's 2 1/8 by 5 to go in here. If it's a little bit short, if you're trying to use up scraps or something, the one on the inside can be too short. Nobody's really going to notice. Okay, on the back, you obviously want to keep it the same size. And you can either put the back on there all white, and they can just write on it. You can stamp on it. On the back of this one, I did some little ice cream cones using our stamps. You can also use more balloons. You want to make sure you include the little end of the balloon so they know what it is. Otherwise, it just kind of looks like a circle. But the balloons are kind of big, and I don't want it to take over the whole thing. And so I'm going to let it hang off the edge, then trim off from the back. Wanted to show you guys how I did the little bow. For this one, I did the little package back there. Did that by taking the ribbon. And let's see, I wanted this one in first. So I've got my white piece in there. And then I'm just going to take this and I'm going to wrap it all the way around. And I'm doing this first because what I'm going to do is bury them underneath this back panel. So I'm just making it a little longer so that they overlap a tad. And then I'm going to secure it using glue dots. And it doesn't matter where it attaches as long as it's underneath that back panel, just to hide the ends. This is often what I'll do on a card too. I can wrap a ribbon around the front of a card and put the next layer on it, and it hides those little ends. Then the next piece is going to come this way. And yes, I know there's a bow in there, but I don't want to tie a bow on this moving card, do you? I'm going to go ahead and make that on my bow maker and attach that over the top. And there we go. See, that buried those ends. And now all we need is the bow for the front. So I'm going to bring in my bow tool. And you can order these off my blog as well. They're only $10, and that includes shipping. But we're going to make a cross, like a cancer ribbon sort of. And then I'm going to feed this one underneath, between it, pull it up and over the top, and then tie a knot. And this works with all the ribbons. You would just, if you want the bow bigger or you have wider ribbon, you just pull out the little pegs and adjust them. But see, this made just a perfect little bow. On the ends, the ribbons tend to unravel a little, so I'll take a flame and just quickly flash the ends, very carefully, of course. And then I'm going to take some more glue dots, and I'm going to just put them underneath my ribbon, set it on there. And so there we go. There's my little package. So that's our card for today. That's how you make a card in a box. And I mean, it was really easy, right? Was that as hard as you thought it would be? Honestly, I think they're just fun, and I make them a lot. These products can be found in our new mini catalog. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you back here next Monday at 2:30. Bye.